Hi, I'm Len Wright with AppClover.com. And today we have an exclusive interview with someone really, really interesting. This is going to be a really different departure from what we do normally in our interviews, but I think you're really going to enjoy this. And as a motivator for everyone out there, I'm going to bring about this guy's age and what he's doing. Today we have a special guest on AppClover's interview series, Thomas Strock, and I'm going to let him explain a little bit more about who he is, what he's up to, what he's doing. But I'm going to put him up as the modern day appreneur. 16 years old, not letting that hold him back, but getting in the game, which I really have to give him kudos for. And at the same time, he has a site as well that he's going to also, a blog called Mobile App Tycoon that we're going to talk about as well, that you're going to want to check out. So without further ado, thank you, Thomas, for being with us today. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about, who you are and what got you started in the app space.
Hey, all right. So pretty much it all started when I wrote this children's book, Tomato Turtle. And so I did this just for fun. It was in middle school. I ended up getting it published. Surprisingly, some publishing house accepted a 12-year-old author. So that got me into the whole marketing space. And from there it went to, niche sites, internet marketing, found Pat Flynn. From there, I saw him doing some apps, and from there, I just felt that apps are, the future, and it would be smart to get into that. And since then, I've been involved in a bunch of internet businesses and entrepreneurial stuff, and it's been fun.
Wow, man. I really have to say, if I would have caught on at 16 and been doing what you're doing, I mean, it would have been just absolutely mammoth. I love leverage in everything I do. And, age is a great leverage because if you can actually at your age be doing and learning what you're doing, by the time you're 25 or 30, you'll be so far ahead because it quantum leaps. It doesn't just little by little by little, it's like investment money, if it's done right. So tell us a little bit about, the apps that you've developed, what you have out there, what you're doing now with them.
So my first one I just released it in the summer was Share Prayer, which is an app to, for mostly for Christians, but also for other religions. And what they do is you get prayer requests from email, from Facebook, from Twitter. People send prayer requests all the time and in person. And a lot of the times when you're actually, sitting down to pray, you don't always remember them all. So Share Prayer is pretty much a one-stop destination to have all your prayer requests in one place and ready to go when you are. So that was the first one. And right now I'm working on a few more, which should hopefully be launching within the next month or two. So.
And are those functional, like utility type apps as well, or game sides?
They're mostly utility apps. I haven't ventured into games quite yet.
Right on. Yeah. Well, and there's huge opportunity in both as well. So what drew you? You mentioned about Pat Flynn, and he talks what's his blog? A Smart Passive Income, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So and to give him his you know his props there, go and visit his blog as well. And he also has an app business too that he's running along the side. So you said that you sort of got on that way. What at 16 you'd already had some experience in internet marketing and so forth. So obviously that helped you a bit. What type of marketing so far have you gone into, or what types of things have you tried? What's working? What things are you learning so far?
Yeah. For the first app, Share Prayer, what I started out doing is mostly external marketing, is marketing through contacting pastors and blogs and things like that. And I didn't really focus so much on App Store SEO and actually internal marketing within the App Store, because I didn't know that much about it. And so that's something I'm still learning about and gathering information, hoping to fix about my marketing strategy there. So I focused on things like emailing pastors, getting reviews on Christian blogs, and more external things which I was used to from the internet marketing space.
Right on. Well, and one thing I'd like to say there, you mentioned that you'd like to fix. I'd like to actually improve instead of fix. Improve, because really, what you're doing is fantastic. It's always a road, right, that you're following, and there's always stuff. I mean, with AppClover right now, there's probably at least 1,000 things that Matt Lutz and myself would like to be doing right now, and just we just can't, right? So you do what you can do, and you move on as you go, and you continue to improve. And that way you basically you hedge your bets because you're always improving. You're catching up on that success.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know so you got into the space from Pat Flynn. Was age ever something that came up to you saying that I can't do it because of my age? Or, I mean, let's just touch on that. I don't want to harp on it, but I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are using some sort of excuse like an age or anything. I mean, it can be a range of things as to not getting involved because of that. So just address that for a moment.
Yeah, and so it pretty much going back to the children's book I published. What I would do is I'd do a lot of book signings at retirement homes, and it sold a lot of books. They buy it for their grandchildren and stuff. And so when I'd go in there, they'd always
Love that.
yeah, they'd always tell me, hey, I wish I wrote a book at your age. I wish I started doing blank at your age, because now I'm so old, it's not worth it anymore. That kind of set me off, and like, hey, I got a book published at 12, and they somehow accepted me. If I can do that, I can do this, and if I can do this, I can do that. And so age, I think, has only helped me. It's only been a marketing thing, helped me market my book, helped me, it's obviously helping me here, and so hopefully it
Great, man.
continues to do that.
Right on. And well, sooner or later that sort of runs
Yeah.
out, right? But the thing is your experience that you've already, are actually putting on that tool belt is enough where, in a very short period of time. I mean, look at what you've already been able to do, and what, that's why I contacted you, was because right now, even at your age, you're learning so much and you're willing to be out there. So many people look as almost anything can be an excuse, whether it be some sort of disability or some sort of thing that they look as a disability upon themselves. And age, for a lot of people, that's what it is. The app space really levels the playing field a lot because it's ingenuity and learning curve. Really, I mean, if you're willing to learn and you're breathing, which most breathing individuals can learn, you can do this in a manner that's rewarding. So I love the way that you just turned your age. You reframed it right away and put it as that's what's working for you right now. And I suggest that people listening, they do the same thing. I mean, if it's lack of money, well, then find a way around that. You can joint venture. I've been joint venturing for over 22 years, and the majority of my businesses I've never put a cent into. So I mean, I've built great websites that would have been $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 just on partnerships, saying, well, I will do this for you, I will do this. So the money isn't even a barrier. So the age thing, I'm glad we dealt with that. And you have a great attitude about it. And the internet marketing side that you learned, how is that helping you with the marketing of your app? Do you see a difference, or are you seeing the crossovers?
I think it's all like a collective learning experience. Like I think I heard this from Trent Deersmid from Online Income Lab, where if the best way to learn business is to do business, and when you get into one business, it eventually leads to another better one, and eventually leads to another, and you keep learning on top of those experiences. So while there are a few things marketing wise that connect between a few of the different businesses I've been doing, it's mostly just that experience that has been helping me.
Yeah, again, a great point, because I mean, the only way that you learn is by doing. You can theory learn how to walk, but unless you actually take that first step, you really don't have the experiential side of it. And with business, it is. It's a lot of people, they don't reach out to do those joint ventures, to do those first promotions with people, to be able to reach out to that app reviewer, or that blogger to write about you, or whatever it is, because they're either waiting for that perfect moment, that stars line up, or they're waiting for something else. Always just act. Just take that step and then learn. Take another step and then learn. Was that the right way to go about it or not? And then, I always say I don't like to do emotional business. I like to learn from results. So the numbers sort of tell me if, the numbers off of my list is this, and it's telling me they don't like something. I'm not going to, just because of my ego, say, well, I'm going to do it anyhow. And it's service. So, I mean, that brings me up another point with the apps that you've done already and the ones that you're doing, are you using any type of opt-in or any type of extra, or are you planning to do that kind of thing, or?
I'm planning on incorporating that into SharePrayer possibly. I'm still got to work with a developer on that to find out, because for SharePrayer, what you have to enter your email into there
Mhm.
to send other people emails and to send messages directly through the app. So I'm figuring that's a great way to build a list and
Yeah.
just to spread the word about that and for future apps in the same niche. So
Well, exactly. And some of the things that you can do like that is even build a loyalty program along that, where it's some sort of referral program. So instead of paying for actual advertising for downloads, you actually pay them
yeah, yeah.
downloads. That type of idea. I actually did an interview with Amish Shah just a while ago. I don't know if you know Amish or have heard about him, but he actually had a really unique idea. He's been in the lead generation side of internet marketing for a long time now, and he sees that part of app space not being covered at all in lead generation.
Hmm.
You can actually sell sometimes leads for, up to 20, 25, sometimes more per lead. Whereas, in the app space, people will download an app not thinking anything of it. Whereas you could actually have it where you collect their information and then actually turn around and make money off that lead, rather than just operating from an app revenue advertising side.
Yeah, yeah, and while the App Store keeps continuing to get flooded and more new apps, I think it's ways like that to make you stand out and give you other creative ways to make money with it that's going to really help in the future.
Yeah, so not to blow off any of your future plans, to blow the lid off at all, but what do you have planned for any marketing, plans in the future? Any strategies that you want to use or that you think is hot that you've heard that you want to utilize?
Yeah, well, definitely one of the big things for me is coming into this. I don't know much about App Store SEO, so that's definitely a priority for me to research and learn about there. So, because like I said, while I do have the experience in book marketing, which is a lot of offline marketing and a lot of creative marketing, there I don't really have the experience with App Store SEO, and that's still something I want to look into definitely for
Yeah.
that marketing wise. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of, I mean, you're at everybody else's pace too. I mean, there's very few of us out there that are really, really knowledgeable about ASO. But on that point, we actually are creating a product right now that will be out probably in about a month and a half from when we're taping this. That is ASO. It's called ASO Ninja, and so it's the book's coming out in the next week or so. And then actually we're covering up, and we actually do that with another expert contributor that's coming on. So yeah, that will be great. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, in internet marketing, search engine marketing is so extensive, and yet most
Yep.
people do very little of it. But the power is absolutely huge. Whereas with the App Store, there's a lot of crossovers, but there's also brand new horizons like ASO, right? Where
Yep.
App Store optimization, it's a brand new thing. Where in the internet marketing side, you still, I mean, we looked up a functionality calculator. I can't remember what it was, but it was some simple scientific calculator, something like that. And we looked up that as an app on Google, and nobody was even showing up. And it shows you how the market is still so wide open for those marketers who know what they're doing in those little respects, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Very few even game companies do a lot of SEO on their game stuff, even to be able to capture that market that is on Google still. And so there's a lot of ways. Have you thought about incorporating that SEO side to it along with the ASO, or is it more along the side where you're wanting to get into just the App Store optimization?
Well, definitely. I mean, the more I can learn, it's always best to learn as much as you can. I definitely think that, soak it all in. But I've done some search engine optimization for like niche sites and stuff, and hopefully that's something I can carry over and use too. So it's just another connection you can make by being in business and moving forward with it.
Yeah, and I urge you to do that, because right now it's prime for the pickings as well. I mean, there's very few spaces that actually have much work SEO wise, and especially with the one that you have out with SharePair and the other stuff that you're working on, yeah, definitely take that approach as well. Because, like I said, that's what we're seeing is there's not a lot of that approach being taken at all.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you had to share some of the lessons that, maybe you thought were going to be easier that turned out not, what are a few things that you can share with the other appreneurs out there, that no matter what the age are, about getting and about launching your first app?
Yeah, well, definitely the first thing is for hiring your developer, and you really want to look into that. I think the developer I was working with, I hired him through Elance, because I was comfortable. I've used Elance in the past for other of my internet marketing things. And so one of the things that I think I made a mistake on is that, he did a great job. We went through the process. He was pretty cheap. But then when I got to the end, I didn't give it enough time I didn't work into the contract for bugs and stuff that would come up in the app. And so I paid him like 3 or 4 days after the app was done. And after that, he did agree to do, to fix some bugs in it. But like I was saying, we still have some trouble with the free app right now, where it seems like since he was paid already, it's not as much of a priority. He's nice enough to do it. He's not completely ditching me, but it's not as much of a priority. So that's one of the big lessons for me right there. And then, number two is just the getting everything ready beforehand, marketing wise. Like, marketing starts when you think of the idea, not when it's launched in the app store. So if I would have gone back and do it again, I would have started planning out my marketing and actually implementing the marketing sooner, so it wasn't as rushed kind of a deal.
Well, and on that, maybe we can expand. What types of things would you do now, looking back? Because there's a lot of people that are maybe in that position right now where they're thinking of an app, or they're just getting in the creation of developing it. What types of things should they be laying out, in your opinion, as a strategy? What types of things can they start doing to build that buzz?
Yeah, and so one of the things is, when I was still in, when I have a list of my app ideas in Evernote, and I'm going through and I'm like, well, which one do I want to do? One of the things that I neglected to do was, before I even create a proposal on Elance or go talk to anyone about it, I go to 5 pastors, email 5 random pastors, and say, hey, if this was available to you, would you use it? Would your prayer groups at church use it? And get some feedback from them before you even think about hiring anyone. And so that's something I didn't do. I pretty much assumed, because it's something I knew people around me would use, that everyone would use it. And it turns out that's not necessarily the case. It's not doing too well, but I still think there's room to improve on it. But for some things that could be detrimental. You spend thousands and thousands of dollars on an app idea, and you find out that nobody but you wants it. That's going to be a terrible experience.
And the neighbor down the street. Yeah, well, and that's exactly it. There's an old adage that I've used before in another podcast. It always just reminds me of, it's used in copywriting. When you're actually writing sales copy for an advertisement or for campaign, and you're supposed to walk into like a bar, a pub, a restaurant, whatever, and give it out to the people. And if they give it back to you and give you kudos and say, "Great job," tear it up and start all over again. But if they ask you where to get that product,
Yep.
then what's good. So instead of having, people come back and say, yeah, great idea. Oh yeah, they should instead be clamoring, saying, where can I get it? Can I sign up? Where do I download it?
Yep.
Those are the right types of feedback. And then even then, what you said was really good, random. So they're not people that feel that they have to be nice to you. They're not, and it's more of a real market survey in that way. And it can be very easy.
Mm-hmm.
But so those are a couple of the ways that you would have, been able to sort of plan the market sphere of your app. What type of need you had, in that way. What are some other things that you would do in a marketing way to create the buzz? Like, have you done or would you do any social media? And if so, how would what types of ways would you start the buzz type of idea if you could do it all over again for it?
Yeah, and that this goes back to getting started early too. With social media, that was kind of something I threw together a week before the app was launched. So obviously, Twitter account with 0 followers does no good. So what eventually happened was I pretty much just went out and followed a bunch of Christian, high profile Christian bloggers, I search for anyone with Jesus in their description of their profile and followed them too for the follow backs you sometimes automatically get with Twitter. I sent a bunch of at messages to some of the high profile, like Tim Tebow's and things like that. And that did do all right. I got some bloggers to reply to those messages, even though it was essentially spam. And Twitter did eventually contact me and say, we're shutting down your account for a day. So
Slap on the hand. Yeah.
yeah. So had to beg for my account back and got it back and haven't done that. But yeah, that's something, building up a legitimate following and doing it slowly and from the start is something that's a lot better than rushing it from a week before. So
But the only way that you would really know that, Thomas, is by doing exactly what you did and go, oh, okay. I mean, that's really, I mean, I've bought and sold and businesses for years. And really, that's the only way that you learn is, like we were saying, by doing, I mean, that's probably what really motivated you to do the site as well, Mobile App Tycoon. And I want you to talk a little bit about that. What's the site and really what's the focus on it so that people can actually, get in jive with what you're doing.
Yeah, and so essentially when I was, I thought of the idea and I'm like, yeah, I think I want to get into this app development thing. And so what came to my mind is, maybe I should start a blog to help people along the way, show them what I'm going through. And then, like, we were going back and sharing about those limiting beliefs, and I'm like, well, if I haven't even published an app, what can I teach people? And I'm obviously not successful yet, so what can I teach people? And so that's another limiting belief I just had to get over and say, I'm going through this for the first time. I mean, there are blogs out there where you can learn from people making tens of thousands of dollars in the App Store, and you can read those blogs, and those blogs are great. But sometimes it's hard to connect with those people because they are making so much money and you're not there yet. And so my blog essentially is documentation, is a journey for me, where you can follow along and you can see my pathetic income reports of $5 a month right now, and you can see that, and hopefully in 2 years you'll see the income reports of tens of thousands of dollars, and you can see the path that got me there, and it'll all be documented there. So that's the goal of it, is that you can see from start to finish. It's not some face appearing on the internet saying, hey, I'm making this amount of money, follow me.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man, because it is a journey. I mean, a lot of times it can alienate the ones that are starting the journey by only looking at the end result and going, oh, I just can't make it there. I just can't do it, right? But if you look at the whole race and it looks like a really long marathon, it's different than being in that race.
Yeah.
It feels different. So again, taking that first step. So that was great. So and what's the website? What's the URL?
It's mobileapptycoon.com.
Right on. So everybody go check it out. I suggest that you follow Thomas's journey as well. Support is big. In all business, I really believe, especially in the joint venture sphere, it takes relationships and the support of a symbiotic relationship. Have you been able to, when you reach out to these different people for support, what has been their response level? Has it been pretty positive? Because you're reaching out just cold, and I'm going there because others probably are doing the same out there.
Yeah, and there's definitely for SharePrayer, for example, when you're talking to these people, the thing that I've learned is it's better to build the relationships too. When you first think of the idea, contact these people, say, hey, I like your blog, I like the content, I look forward to talking with you more, things like that. Build the relationship, so then when you go for the hard sale, the guy, and you can work on that relationship. Where I just contact, say, hey, you want to do a review? And so majority of the time it's no. I mean, there's the occasional yes, but the majority of the time it's no. And so forming those relationships and building quality relationships, not just meant to sell to people, but meant to get closer to them, and then as an added bonus, sell them. Then that's how it should be done, and that's how I definitely improve it for my future apps and things like that. And it also goes down to the support I've had from people in the marketing side of things, just to kind of point me in the right direction and keep me on track and accountable there too.
Yeah, well, and accountability is huge, because plans are great.
Yeah.
but that's all they are if that's all they are. And so, putting it into action, I mean, we've said it a few times, it keeps coming back to that, but it really is, making those first steps is great. I mean, I like running really fast. I feel, I can tumble faster when I do fall. And I can get back up again. But I've fallen a lot through business and so forth, and as any entrepreneur has. So what you learn to do is you learn to run it at the speed that you're good at, but you want to make sure that you are making forward momentum. AppClover, we do see a lot of people that are looking for the easy all the time, and that's just not where the road is leading.
Yeah, yeah.
I mentioned at the start of the interview that the space is getting more cramped. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, all right. And so yeah, that's one of the things that I was saying. I heard, I think this was Dane Maxwell who we were talking about before too. Who I heard this from is that it's not necessarily about success right away. It's about failing as quickly as possible and as many times as possible, so you'll eventually lead to that success.
Yeah, exactly. And because failing is really just a part of learning.
Yep.
And if that I don't really look at it as failing, and that's why I say that, because I really don't I don't see it that way in myself. I look at it instead as, here's a learning, an education point. And so if I can learn through this, then I don't have to go through this again. So that's one thing taken care of, right? So and you do, and then you can motor faster. So where do you see, I mean, from your vantage point, where do you see the app space going? I mean, the App Store optimization, everything else, it's sort of building, I think. But where do you see the future big opportunities?
Yeah, I definitely think that, it definitely, you, as an app developer, you have to look for problems. And I think that that's one of the main things, is that too many people, in the 2009, 2010, with the iFarts and the silly little games and stuff, I mean, those days are over essentially. And, so like, it's no longer just a lottery anymore. It's, you have to legitimately find a problem, have a solution, do legitimate marketing. You have to take those lessons learned from, quote, real businesses and apply that to the App Store. And I think that's how it's going to be moving forward. It's no longer just that gold rush. There's still a bunch of opportunities, just you have to do it the slow way, do it the right way.
Yeah, exactly. Quality.
Yep.
Quality counts.
Yep.
So where, do you have anywhere where you're focusing on, specifically, like you said, you want to get into the games, but you're more with utility right now. Is anywhere where you think is hotter and where it's going to be in the next, year, 6 months, year? Or do you sort of, go ahead.
It's essentially, for me, it's all around. It's whenever I think of a good app idea, whenever I think of a problem, that's where I want to go. It's a little bit of the entrepreneur's curse, is you want to get your hand in as many little honeypots as possible. And so, I don't think there's one solid answer to that question, one solid direction to go with that. It's wherever the problems are, follow the problems, and then the money follows you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a great way, man. I hope that we can actually every once in a while come back and do this and follow you on that journey. And, I urge you obviously to be able to stay tuned with Appreneur and AppClover so that you can learn more about that. And as we cover it ourselves, hopefully that everybody else will learn as well, and we can all learn as a group and support each other. But Tom, for coming on, is there any final advice that you would put on this pedestal that you would give to whether we're watching this, whether it be young or old?
Yeah, and it goes back to what we've been saying before: action and getting rid of your limiting beliefs. Like the limiting belief is, I don't have the education to do this. That's nonsense. You got to get over that. I don't have the money to do that. Once again, not an excuse. I'm not the right age. Those are all limiting beliefs where, if it doesn't feel right to you, if it's holding you back, it's a limiting belief. And those are all things you can learn to get over, and it works out for the best if you do. So it's getting rid of those limiting beliefs.
Yeah, right on. And I can't agree with you more, because not only does that touch the app business, but it touches all of life. And so, they're definitely intertwined. Well, I thank you again for being with us. And we will definitely have you back and go and follow along your journey as well. I love the idea, not just the age, but the attitude. It's great. And for everybody else, thank you for visiting today and watching. Hope you got a lot out of it. And again, come back to appclover.com for more information, where we'll be having more interviews and more of the hottest marketing information available on that.